Welcome to another edition of Business Uncensored. Why I created Business Uncensored, let's get into that real quick. Since this show's relatively new, and I feel it's necessary to give the platform up front, is business is not what it's presented to be on LinkedIn. It's not what it's presented to be in networking groups. It's not what it's presented to be. That's just a piece of business. Where business happens are the backroom deals, are the conversations, are the honest conversations people have about business. And so I wanted a show to bring a little levity, to bring a little comedy, to bring a little bit of full view of what business is. Because if you think business people don't say fuck, you're wrong. That we do all the time. And so to make a show to where we can have those honest conversations about industry, about people's industry, and curse like sailors while we do it, how do you go wrong with this? And so I want to introduce my guest, Google expert in many different ways, and we're going to get into that. But just got to meet this gentleman recently at a convention, and they flew all the way in from across the pond, as they say, to come to the convention. And I just drove through the South to get there. And we had a lot of fun at this convention, and I immediately knew I was going to bring this gentleman on the show so we could talk about all things business, because this guy's got a very good view of it. By request, here is Jason Barnard.
It's rare that I get sung onto a podcast. I generally do the singing, so that was delightful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So like I prefaced, we got to meet at a podcast meetup convention thing down in Orlando, Florida, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And immediately you've done some of our shows, because our company produces several shows or whatever, and you've been on there before, so we cursory knew each other. But man, it was just really great to get to meet you face to face and sit and talk with you over that conference.
Yeah, no, it was delightful, and lots of rude words. But during the conference, I promised that I would replace the rude word with jolly and say it with a terribly English accent. And I really struggled, but I'll try and do it today. The challenge for today is every time I want to say a rude word, I will say jolly something.
I would rather you just say fuck.
Jolly no.
Okay.
Now you're going to try and catch me out, and that's going to be the fun part. But yes, we had a lovely conversation. I flew 23 hours to get there, and it was only 21 hours to get back door to door. And it was super worth it. I spent 6 days talking to people, learning, discussing, and doing those backroom deals that you were talking about, and networking with people. In the digital world, we forget how important actually meeting people is. And it was brilliant for that.
Yeah, let's talk about conferences for a minute, because between marketing, insurance, podcast, and all that, I've probably been in my entire life cycle to about 100 to 115 conferences.
Wow.
And they all are different levels, right? You go to an insurance conference and it's a little bit stuffy, but I guarantee you the after parties are like next level. Caligula would be jealous after parties, right?
Okay.
But then you go to like a marketing conference and everybody's real competitive. Like when you're at that booth, everybody's just staring everybody down, right? But this podcast conference was a whole new deal to me. It was everybody was there to collaborate, to be friendly,
yes,
to make business and to grow. And it was one of the most fun concerts or conventions that I've ever been to.
Yeah, me too, actually. And now that you say that, I'm slightly less enthusiastic about coming back to other conferences because you've rather dissed them there. I come from the SEO world, and you're saying marketers are competitive. In terms of business and what they know, I would imagine. And SEO, search engine optimization, there's huge competition about who's the smartest in the room. And it's very tiring. And what I like about the conferences I've been to in America and outside of the SEO community, even marketing conferences, it's much more about business. How can I help you? How can you help me make money, move my business forwards? And I don't want to be the smartest person in the world. I want to be the one who's got the business that's thriving.
Of course, and you bring that up about SEO, and we can use that as a segue into marketing. I found before I left marketing, I was in marketing for about a decade, is especially in the SEO realm, there's different theories to do it. It's do you do it like this? Do you do it like that? Do you what? And you're right. When SEO and marketing people get together, it's kind of almost a dick waving of, hey, my process is better. Look what I can do. I can do this better. And that's that conversation that happens in marketing, which is, I think, kind of hurts marketing to a bit because it's still a logical process. And like at the podcast convention, how we edit podcasts, how we do things or whatever, we would sit down and exchange premises of how we do this, not as a theory or my way is better, as now when you get 20 smart people around a table talking about editing, everybody walks away with a better process to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
But in the SEO and marketing world, it seems like everybody's like, no, my way's right. No, my way's right. No, my way's right.
And that was it. I had this conversation multiple times, is I come from a world in marketing and SEO of no but. And what I found at Podfest was yes and. So it was people accepting my idea and then saying, and we can add this, or and this is another alternative, rather than, no, that's not 100% correct, but I've got a better solution, which is what we're getting into marketing. And I found it hugely refreshing.
What was your favorite part? Like I think that you hit the nail on the head of, in digital world, we forget how important face-to-face and networking, shaking hands, being in that same room is. So doing that, give me a couple of your favorite takeaways from being in person in a conference outside of that thing.
I really, really, really enjoyed hanging out with the pod match crowd, Alex Sanfilippo. In French, we've got a term, fédérateur, and it's somebody who brings people around them naturally without being a leader, just being a facilitator. And Alex is exactly that kind of person. And what happened in the pod match corner was people would come by, would talk, exchange, and it was a lot of yes and conversations. And I spent most of my time just hanging out in that corner, talking to anybody who came near me. And the other really lovely thing is conversations that weren't mutually beneficial didn't last long, and everybody was happy.
What were the things that you didn't or don't like? Not just specifically Podmatch conference, but what are some things that you don't like about in-person conferences?
The competition, talking over each other, trying to be smarter than the other, trying to show everybody how incredibly smart and wonderful we are. And another thing I struggle with is, in conferences in general, people talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And few original ideas. And I think conferences often have a fear of new ideas, which I think is a real pity. So a lot of the time I spend networking, which is great and it's wonderful, and I love networking. And I think conferences are hugely powerful with that. But we could actually do it in the bar afterwards. But a lot of the time, the talks are simply repeating things that we all already know, or digging into a hole that we've already investigated. And I would love to see more big ideas out there.
Absolutely. One of the things that I hate about every conference that I go to is I am tired of the sound of my own voice by the time I leave there. Because you're right, because I talk to you and I say, hey, here's my company, here's what we do, how can we help each other, the elevator pitch thing, and then we find out whether we have that mutually beneficial conversation, we book shows, we do that, and then that's kind of like a 10-minute snippet of life, right? And then I repeat that 10 minutes for 3 fucking days, and by the time that is done, my voice is blown out. I don't want to hear myself talk anymore. And you can always tell. One of the favorite, I was talking to my wife last night when I got home. I said, here's how you tell that you've cultivated a relationship at a conference. The head nod walking down the hallway, right? If you've talked to somebody and you've cultivated some sort of relationship and you're going to have some ongoing, when you see each other pass in the hallway, you don't necessarily stop and talk again. You're like, what's up? What's up? Right. And then you see that person that you've talked to and you do the what's up and they kind of look away. You're like, oh no, that didn't go well.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So by the time you leave the conference, you have a set of, these are the people I'm following up with. These are the people I didn't get along with. These are the people I don't have a relationship with. But I always notice by the end of the conference, that little head nod or fist bump thing. And you're like, oh, those are my people I follow up with. But you still got to have like a million conversations to get there.
Yeah, and you've brought that home to me. Is the nod or the fist bump is well enough. I don't need a hug or a handshake or a woohoo. It can be more subtle than that. And I think one thing I learned at Podfest is very much, as I said, the conversations where it wasn't a match didn't last very long. And it was very clear to everybody that this wasn't a relationship that was going to help either of us. And that honesty was really refreshing, is that people were there to talk to people with whom they resonated and not waste time, which was absolutely lovely.
Yeah, I think to finish this up before we move on to marketing is the difference between Podfest and insurance and marketing conversations, where it wasn't sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch. It was theory after theory. This is what I do. This is my little about me. This is whatever. But insurance, marketing, builder, construction, whatever you go to as a conference, it just seems like it's multiple sales pitch. It's multiple whatever.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there listening to this has a chance to go, and we're not paid, or we don't promote Alex or Podmatch or Podfest. We're not paid to do any of that, but it was one of the best conferences I've ever been to. So if you're a podcaster checking it out, I would definitely recommend going to Podfest, becoming part of that community.
Yeah.
Because it was just one of the better communities that I've got a chance to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to growing that community with as well. So.
And I think it's important to point out that I'm not a podcaster by trade. I'm a business owner. I have a platform, a SaaS platform, and an agency, and we specialize in educating Google, getting Google to understand who we are, what we do, and which audience we serve as businesses. So I'm firmly in the business world. And I went to the podcast festival because I happen to have a podcast. But as you said, I really enjoyed the conversations, and I got a lot out of it on a human level, on a business level, and on a media level, including podcasts. So even if you're not a podcaster by trade, it's worth going because of the insights you get and the people you meet and the ambiance, as we say in French.
So let's talk marketing for a little bit. I'm a marketing guy.
Now I can say, excuse my French. Doesn't that mean I just said a rude word?
Yes.
Yeah. So ambiance, excuse my French.
Nice. But yeah, let's move over into some marketing, because
yes.
I'm a marketing guy. You're a marketing guy. You're really heavy into SEO, search engine optimization, Google. So for those of you that don't know, Google is probably, and Jason, correct me anywhere that I'm wrong, is probably one of the biggest advertising platforms that we've ever seen and that we're ever going to see. And especially if you're a service industry, if you're what I call is a phone call business, right? That my pipes burst. And so I'm going to start calling. If I'm going to search, if you're a searchable business, if people are looking for you, Google is the biggest advertiser and the best thing out there that you can ever do to get right on Google. Now, but getting right on Google is not easy. It takes some time. It takes, maybe it is easy. Maybe there's just a lot of noise out there that doesn't let you get out there. But if you're like me and you've ever looked at anything marketing, now you start getting all of these emails about, let me help you market. Let me do SEO. Let me do there. So before we get into you and your business, because that's the minimal part of this podcast, what the hell is wrong with people and what the hell is wrong with marketing that we've got this influx of scam and nobody knows exactly what SEO is anymore or what a good SEO looks like? Tell me where that broke down in history.
It's actually pretty recent that it's completely broken down. It's been kind of falling apart little by little over 25 years. So looking at SEO, if we go back 25 years, Google were original. They were new, and they absolutely dominated the market simply by saying, instead of just counting words, which is what all the other search engines did, we're going to look at links too. So they started counting links and words. That's it. And until 7 years ago, that was good enough. That's all they could do. And over the last 6 years, they've developed lots of technologies that have taken them way beyond counting links and words. So they now understand the world, and they can analyze what we're looking for. They can analyze what's in the page, what the offer is, how credible you are. And the SEO community has got completely left behind, because most of them, or a lot of that community, is still stuck in counting words and counting links. Which means that Google has a huge problem, is that because people have been able to trick it for 25 years, they think they can still trick it. But Google has got to the point where it can obviously still get it wrong, but those simple tricks that we've learned to love over the 25 years will no longer work. And sometimes, and this is kind of getting into the meat and potatoes, is somebody will come back to me and say, well, I got lots of links and I counted my words and it worked. Therefore, this still functions everywhere. And my answer to that is, that only worked because Google doesn't have a better choice, because everybody in your market is doing that exact same thing.
So if everybody's bad, the best of the bad becomes good.
Exactly. So basically what I would be telling the SEO who has done just the word counting the links is, you're the best of a bad bunch. That isn't something to shout your praises about.
So most of the things that I get in my email or text or hammered with that wants me to take my SEO business to the next level, whatever, all of those, they're all scams. Like not all of them, but how do you tell? Do you have any advice for people out there that are getting fucked over and getting their money stolen? Because let me back up a little bit and tell you what my problem was and why I left marketing recently. Yeah. Because this is the exact reason why I said, screw it, left an Inc. 5000 marketing company and decided to go into producing podcasts, right? Is because the barrier to entry to be a marketer and see how big of I use is this kind of the same thing when a 16-year-old kid gets an iPhone and now they're a professional photographer, right? Yeah. It's the same thing. And that's what that barrier to photography is so hard. And it's become the same thing. I can run a social media campaign that doesn't make me a marketer. I can get my grandma's business listed on Google My Business. That doesn't make me a marketer. I can do that does not make you a marketer. So we're professional marketers. We keep up on the trends, AI, Google, SEO, word counts, slugs, how to get rid. We take classes and we constantly are learning and staying on that bleeding edge because digital marketing is a technology just like anything else. So what has happened in the marketing industry and why most people's marketing is bullshit and you're getting screwed is because that people that don't know what they're doing are taking your money and handing you some vanity numbers that do not transport into ROIs. They can get likes, clicks, and shares, but are those people buying your shit? And if they're not, that marketing is ineffective. Full stop, 100%. But what happens is people go through these bullshit marketing companies, and then by the time they get to somebody like me and you and places that know what we're doing, they don't trust us. They want to argue with us. They don't want to spend any money on effective marketing and all of those. So by the time they get to us, they're a dickhead client that I don't want to deal with. Yeah. So that's why I'm no longer in marketing. And so I want you to tell me what your struggles are staying in marketing and staying sound and dealing with customers because of just how the nature of marketing has become.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. When somebody comes to me and says, well, I don't want to spend money with you because I've already spent $20,000 with somebody else and it didn't work out and it was snake oil. My answer is not my problem. You've been fooled and I'm really sorry and I can help you. But the fact that you spent money doesn't mean that I'm going to do this for free. Really, you need to consider my position as a marketer and an SEO. And I think I'm probably less unhappy with the marketing world because I come from the SEO world and into the marketing world and now into the business world. So for me, I'm actually in the business world who's working on marketing, which brings my SEO further down the line. I consider myself a business person first and foremost, a marketer second, and an SEO third. And that comes to our approach at CaddyCube is let's build a great business. With a great business, a brand, we can then build marketing materials. We need to place those marketing materials where your audience is standing so that you can present those marketing materials and you can be standing where they're looking. That means being on LinkedIn, YouTube, Forbes magazine, New York Times, Facebook, Trustpilot, all of these places where your audience are hanging out. So you can then present them with the marketing materials for your company, which is a brand. Show them that you have the solution they're looking for. Demonstrate to them that you're the most credible solution and invite them down the funnel. Now, you do that across your entire digital ecosystem. And if you do that effectively, you will be driving business. Now, the trick is to then package that branding and that marketing for Google so that Google sees that this is what you're doing across the entire internet. So it's not just your website, it's LinkedIn, it's YouTube, it's New York Times, it's Forbes magazine, it's Trustpilot. Google sees demonstrably that you're standing where the audience is looking, presenting them with a solution, convincing them of your credibility and inviting them down the funnel, and they are coming down the funnel. At that point, Google understands that you are the best in-market solution. Once it's understood you're the best in-market solution, it's a recommendation engine. It will recommend you to the subset of its users who are your audience when you are a relevant solution. It's as simple as that. Branding, marketing, SEO. That's it.
Because I think what people don't understand is Google is a business in itself, and it has to maintain its credibility by only recommending you the best things possible.
100%.
So the better it can credibility you, the more it will recommend you. Just like you want your friends and your family to go out and recommend you. If you're a plumber, you're giving them magnets and you're giving them stuff and go hang these up and go tell this person and go do this, and you're trying to get this referral campaign going. That's what people need to understand. That's what Google is. It's a referral campaign, but you have to prove to Google you are the best. And that's why it's so important to have marketing done right, but it's so hard to get it right because of all of the noise out there.
100%. And I like your analogy saying it's a referral program that's free for us.
Yes.
And the people who pay are the users who give their data away and click on the ads. So from our perspective, it's a referrer. We want to be recommended. And for us to be recommended, Google needs to understand who we are and what we offer. It needs to believe we're the most credible solution, and it needs to be convinced that we can deliver the goods. So it's understanding, credibility, deliverability. If you nail that, Google is your best friend, and it's free.
Yeah, because in a sense, even though it's location based to a certain point, it's whatever. So if I'm in Orlando and I type in I would like to eat somewhere, but I'm not. But if I am, let's pretend if I'm in Orlando, let's go into the Wayback Machine 4 days ago when I'm in Orlando and I'm traveling and I type in barbecue places to eat, right? So how this becomes a referral thing, what Google does is there could be two barbecue places next to each other. They look and see, hey, both of these places are close, but this one has no marketing. We have no history on it. This other one has reviews, marketing has been seen. We can see all of this stuff. They have reviews, they have whatever. Then all of a sudden, those two restaurants that are across the street from each other, Google only tells me about one of them. And that is how people need to understand that's how Google works, not just I exist, so Google's going to tell you I exist. Well, no, not if you're a shithead, you're a bad business, you got bad reviews, you don't do marketing, you're discreditable. Google's not going to recommend you, because if I recommend my brother-in-law, that's the plumber, and he comes and knocks a hole in your wall and shits on your floor, you're probably not going to be very happy, right? So if Google recommends you a restaurant and you go to it and they knock a hole in your table and shit in the floor, you're not going to have a very good experience. So they're going to make sure not to recommend you anything that's inappropriate or bad and keep you happy, so you keep using Google.
Yeah, and Google needs to retain its users. Therefore, it has to be the best recommendation engine possible. It is obsessed by making the best possible recommendation, which is, as you say, a recommendation referral. And the thing is, a lot of companies and a lot of marketers will say, well, I need to please Google, so I will set out explicitly to build things that Google is going to like. And that's the wrong approach. Today, in today's world, 2024, you need to create branding and marketing that pleases your audience, that brings them to where you are, into your barbecue restaurant, because you've got an amazing front, because you've got great prices, because your cook is the best in the business, because you've got happy people leaving reviews. Then you need to make sure that Google understands it. So you need to serve your users, your audience first, make sure you're best in market truly, and then you need to demonstrate it to Google and indeed to Bing. I think we all forget about Bing. Bing is smaller. But interesting fact, you were talking about Google being an advertising machine. It is all advertising. And if you look at Google, it's entire business is built on advertising, the results in the searches and the ads and so on and so forth. But from what I understand, a number I heard was 1% in the search market globally is worth $1 billion a year. And Microsoft have got maybe a 3% market share. Mm-hmm. They're profitable. So Microsoft don't care. And if they get 1 extra percent, they're winning all the way. They've got an extra $1 billion on something that's already profitable. Whereas Google are hugely profitable, but they're desperately clinging on to their market share. Dominant though they are, they're scared.
Yeah. Well, and with AI especially, because isn't AI kind of the great leveler? Because whereas you have human technologies and human people sitting in an office doing human things, and they're inconsistent, AI's, if anything else, pretty consistent. Yeah. So you can tab it and it learns quick. So Microsoft can go, hey, go look at Google, go back into Google, tear Google apart, research Google, find out all the ways Google are popular and happy and doing good, and report that back to us. And that algorithm, which what would take a team of 8 million people 5 years to do, or vice versa, 5 people, 8 million years to do, that algorithm can go and do that in like 10 minutes. And now Microsoft understands where they're lacking. And that's what they kind of did with Bard and Bing is they literally went in Microsoft's version of it, on Bing. That's kind of what they did. They went and looked at Google and they used AI to deconstruct it. And now they're rebuilding Bing. Now what'll happen in the next, total prediction, and I'm full of shit most of the time, but total prediction is that what you'll see in the next 10 years is Bing, you're right, will take 1% about every year as they get out, because how do you kill the Goliath in the room that is Google? You're going to have to chip away at it, and you're just going to have to chip away. And now that we have AI in the chat and we have AI in that great leveler over the next few years, hopefully we'll see more of a market thing, because you also see a lot, especially in other countries, not US because we're capitalist pigs, but in other countries that they are breaking these things apart. They're forcing like Apple to be industry standard instead of exclusive. They're forcing Google to not harvest this data. They're forcing Google not to be monopolies in area. And I think that in the end and over the course of the next 10, 15 years will help level and have other engines out there that do the same thing as Google. It's the same thing as Google. Back in the day, radio and newspaper were like the big umbrella ways to advertise in your area, and Google has become that national, global radio and newspaper. And what we'll see is more competitors, and we'll see that split up. Over time.
And I think kind of 100% what you said, but I think we forget. I was starting the internet in 1998. And we forget that in 2003, Google was not a big player. Microsoft MSN was still the biggest player. Yeah. And Yahoo was huge. And that 2003, 2006, if I remember correctly, was the period at which Google turned that whole thing over very spectacularly. And that was partly because Microsoft's Internet Explorer was so dominant that the European Commission or the European Community forced them to break it apart. And that killed their dominance of the market, because the Internet Explorer was integrated into Windows. And once they couldn't force people to use Internet Explorer, that was when they started to lose their market share and Google could take over. Something similar could very well happen to Google in a similar circumstance. Google are desperately trying to keep all of their parts apart. YouTube, Google Analytics, the Google search, so on and so forth, Gmail, because the European community is suing them and is going to potentially force them to split it all into bits. And then we're going to see a repetition of what happened to Microsoft 15 years ago. That's a real possibility on the horizon. And that would be, it would throw a huge rock into the lake. And that, for me, that would be a lot of fun, because what you said about Bing is, it's what we do at Kalicube is we don't look for all this data. We just ask Google. So we Google brand names or people's names, and we look at the Google results to figure out what needs to be done, what Google doesn't understand, what it does understand. We're using Google as a huge market research and a huge brand research tool that's free. And if Google loses that place, we'll use Bing. Doesn't make any difference to me. I would be happier. It would make life more fun.
I got one more question for you, then we're going to get out of here because we're hitting right at time here.
Right. Okay.
But this is something that'll probably be cut out and put into another episode, or we'll just leave it in this one. I want you to give me the 3 markers of somebody being a shithead marketing client. Somebody that you don't want to work with when they walk through their door and start talking to you. You know, they're already going to be a problem. And so basically you, as somebody that's professional marketing, all of that, what are your 3 things that show that you're getting ready to work with a shithead client?
Well, the first is they ask immediately about the price. That means they're not focusing on results. They're focusing on how much is this going to cost me? And that's immediately a red flag. Another would be prove me the return on investment before I even start. And honestly, the last one is gut feeling. Is if they don't seem to me to be a nice, open-minded, friendly, ambitious person, it isn't going to work. And ambitious is a surprising word. I didn't realize I was going to say the word ambitious, but I realized friendly, nice, smart, ambitious. The ambitious is important. If you're not ambitious, you're not going to put yourself out there. You're not going to go for it. So that is actually my big one. If they don't have ambition, I'm not interested. And there's one last thing is in the Kalicube team, Katrina created a 3-part hashtag. For anybody who wants to work at Kalicube, they have to be smart, courageous, and fun. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And what I've realized is that also applies to our partners and our clients. So in fact, when I go into a client meeting, a prospect meeting, sales meeting, I'm looking for smart, courageous, and fun. And if you're smart, courageous, and fun, we're going to have the best business relationship going. And it's going to be really cool.
Because at the end of the day, marketing is a bit of gambling, and your marketer is a blackjack coach. That's how it works. And make sure that you have the right one. All right, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. So go ahead, go right ahead.
I've just realized I didn't say any swear words, and I didn't say jolly once. So I'd like to say jolly fucking well done to me.
Jolly fucking well done to you, sir. But thank you so much for coming on the show. So please tell us how we get a hold of you, find Kalicube, and give all that good contact info.
Brilliant. Yeah. Search my name, Jason Barnard, JASONBARNARD on Google. The result will show you everything you need to know about me, and it gives you the choice of where you want to engage with me. LinkedIn, my own website, my company website, Twitter potentially, or read my articles. There's article boxes down there. That's the point of a great search result for your name, is that Google allows you to decide how you want to engage with me. I don't force it down your throat. And the same thing for my company, Kalicube, KALICUBE, exactly the same. Do you want to visit our site? Do you want to listen to my podcast? Do you want to watch the Kalicube Tuesday series? Do you want to use Kalicube Pro, the free tools, or join us as an agency? Or do you want us to do your marketing for you? It's up to you. Search the name Kalicube, KALICUBE, and you get to choose, not us.
Very good, my friend. Very good. And my name is Ryan Sherrer. This is Business Uncensored, which is produced by Titan Media Works. Titan Media Works, if you want a podcast and you don't want to do all the boring shit that everybody hates to do, like production and show notes and posting and all of that stuff, we do all of that for you. So if you just want to like the sound of your own voice and you want it out there more, go to titanmediaworks.com to get all of that information, and you can find my show along with 16 others on our network, which is smallbusinessdelivered.com. We have everything that you can find on there, from marketing to business coaches to my shenanigans, and we're developing more shows every day. That's smallbusinessdelivered.com. Until next time, see you fuckers.